Imagine working hard for years only to watch your career crumble because of an office rivalry. She claims she's innocent, but the truth is very different. Today, I'll tell you how a seemingly trivial dispute ruined everything, and let you decide who's right. I have always taken my career seriously. I joined the company a few years ago with ambition, and since then, I have been working hard to move up the ladder. I had a good relationship with the team, and despite the pressures of the job, I felt like I was on the right path. Over time, I gained respect and trust, which meant a lot to me. But, as I would later find out the hard way, in the corporate world, not everything is as it seems. It all began when a new colleague, Clara, was hired for a project I was involved in. At first, it seemed like she was there just to collaborate. Clara was friendly, competent, and seemed genuinely interested in learning about the company. I never imagined she had other intentions. At the start, I really believed we could work together, share knowledge, and make progress on the project. But slowly, things began to change. I started noticing that whenever I suggested an idea or led a presentation, she would find a way to divert attention away from me and onto herself. It wasn't something that bothered me right away. After all, competition is common at work. But over time, it became more and more noticeable. I even thought I might be overreacting, that maybe it was just my perception. But then, small rumors started reaching me. People in the office began telling me that Clara was talking about mistakes I had supposedly made or implying that my performance wasn't as good as it seemed. I tried to ignore it, to stay focused on my work, but it was impossible not to notice that she was slowly undermining my reputation. Then, during an important meeting, something happened that made it clear to me that something was wrong. We were presenting the project's progress to upper management, and Clara started pointing out areas of the work that, according to her, were poorly executed. She used it as a way to question the decisions I had made. At that moment, I was speechless. It was clear she was trying to discredit me, but in such a subtle way that it looked as though she was simply concerned about the project's success. It was after this meeting that I started realizing just how much my position was being threatened. Apparently, Clara had won over the trust of some team members, and before long, rumors started circulating that I wasn't doing a good job. The sense of injustice was overwhelming. I knew I worked hard and was dedicated, but I was watching my reputation slowly crumble before my eyes. And the worst part was that she continued to act as if she was innocent, as if it was all just a series of misunderstandings. That's when I decided I needed to figure out what was really going on. If Clara was playing dirty, I couldn't just sit back. After that meeting, everything changed. I began to realize how my confidence was being chipped away, little by little. I used to walk into the office with my head held high, feeling in control of my work and my career path. But now, every step I took was filled with insecurity. It felt as though everyone around me was doubting my performance, as if Clara's words were slowly contaminating everything I had built. The feeling of injustice was eating away at me. I knew I worked hard, and that until Clara's arrival, my reputation had been solid. I began losing sleep, replaying every situation where she had questioned my work or insinuated mistakes. The image of her concerned comments about my performance was burned into my mind, and each time I thought about it, I felt a mixture of anger and frustration that I couldn't control. At home, things were also falling apart. I started bringing work stress with me, and no matter how much I tried to hide it, my family noticed something was wrong. I was constantly irritable, impatient, and began isolating myself, avoiding talking about what was going on. In my mind, I still believed I could turn things around, that maybe it was only a matter of time until everyone saw who Clara really was. However, things only got worse. Before long, I was removed from a few important projects I used to lead. When I asked why, my superiors gave vague answers, saying it was necessary to explore new perspectives, or that others needed the opportunity to lead. It was clear to me that Clara was getting what she wanted. She was positioning herself in my place, gaining the trust and opportunities that had once been mine. With each passing day, I felt more powerless. I had gone from being respected to being sidelined, as if my work was no longer good enough. And the most painful part was knowing that behind it all, Clara continued to act as if she had done nothing wrong. She smiled, continued connecting with everyone, while I was sinking emotionally. I kept asking myself, was I exaggerating my suspicions of her? Or had she really managed to subtly manipulate everyone around her? The doubt and sense of betrayal consumed me. But I knew I had to do something to protect what was left of my career. Yet, I still wasn't sure how to confront her without coming across as paranoid or vindictive. Any hasty action could be seen as a desperate move. After weeks of living under the weight of doubt and tension, I realized I couldn't go on like that. I needed to do something to understand what was really happening, and most of all, to confront Clara. But at the same time, I knew that any wrong move could look like desperation. I had to plan carefully, deciding that the best way to act was professionally, without giving her any advantage. I waited for the right moment to approach her. On an otherwise ordinary day, I asked to speak with her privately, saying we needed to go over some project details. She agreed without hesitation, maintaining that confident expression that irritated me more and more. When we entered the meeting room, I closed the door and got straight to the point. "Clara, we both know what's going on here," I began, trying to stay calm, even with my heart racing. She looked at me, surprised, but quickly took on a defensive tone. "I don't know what you're talking about," she replied, with an innocent expression that almost made me doubt myself. I continued, making it clear that I was aware of her manipulations, the rumors, and how she had been trying to discredit my work. I explained that I didn't have direct evidence, but the impact of her actions was being felt, and I was willing to take it to upper management to clarify if necessary. "I won't let you destroy what I've built here with lies and insinuations," I said, my voice steady. To my surprise, she just laughed, a cold, almost contemptuous laugh. "Do you really think you're going to achieve anything?" she asked, crossing her arms. "Do you think anyone will believe you without proof? I was just doing my job, and if people trust me more than you, that's not my problem." Her reaction left me speechless. Clara continued to deny everything, placing the blame on me, as if I were solely responsible for what was happening. She maintained her stance, arguing that her actions were entirely professional, that she would never bring someone down to move ahead. At that moment, I realized that to others, she could very well appear innocent. I left the meeting filled with a mix of anger and frustration. I knew a direct confrontation would get me nowhere, that Clara had shielded herself by manipulating the situation subtly. Even so, I wasn't ready to give up. I started gathering everything I could to demonstrate my competence and reaffirm my value in the company. Every email, every result I delivered, I documented carefully, not only to protect myself, but to try to counter the perception Clara had created. As I worked to restore my career, Clara continued to position herself. But now, I was determined to use the same system she had manipulated to regain control of the situation. The doubt I had before transformed into a quiet determination. I knew Clara was playing psychological games, but I was determined not to let that define my future. After that confrontation, my perspective on work changed. I knew that no matter how much I dedicated myself and demonstrated my achievements, there would always be people like Clara, ready to manipulate and exploit any gaps to get ahead. But I also knew that if I allowed her to keep manipulating the situation, I would be giving up everything I had built. So, I focused on building a solid record, something no one could deny. I started delivering even more impressive results, making sure to document each success, each piece of positive feedback I received. Subtly, I let my work speak for itself. The strategy worked, and gradually, I regained the confidence I had lost. Clara noticed that her influence was waning. Over time, the rumors she had spread began to dissipate, and her attempt to manipulate the situation lost momentum. She still maintained a friendly facade with others, but it was clear that her plan had failed. It didn't take long for upper management to recognize my efforts. I was invited to take part in a new project, making it clear that my work was indeed valued. But even with this professional victory, the feeling of injustice lingered. Clara never admitted what she had done, never took responsibility for the impact of her actions. To everyone else, she continued to be the exemplary professional, someone who was just doing her job. And it made me question, is it really worth fighting for something when someone can always twist the truth? Today, I continue in my career, but with a new perspective. I've learned that in competitive environments, there will always be people like Clara, willing to manipulate and exploit any openings to get ahead. However, I found that despite all the adversity, maintaining my integrity and focus brought me a peace that she will never have. My career was affected, yes, but it wasn't destroyed. And unlike her, I can move forward with a clear conscience. And what about you? What would you do in a situation like this? Would you have confronted Clara directly or tried to handle it differently? Leave your comment below and share your thoughts. If you enjoyed this story, subscribe to ReactStories and hit the notification bell to catch more impactful stories. Here, we always bring stories that make you reflect. See you in the next video.